Hi everyone. I grew up reading books, and poetry books were always my last choice. But one day, I chanced to lay my hands on a century old collection of poems, Geetanjali. Yes, the book that brought Nobel Prize to India, written by Rabindranath Tagore. Geetanjali means Song of Offerings, a dedication to God who touches our lives in so many ways that we may not always know. He empties us of wrong thoughts and fills us with hope again. He lets our mind wander like the music from a flute and find its own destiny, for we don't know whose ears the music goes to. These poems remind me of the book of Psalms in the Bible. If I were to choose a poem, I think that would be this one. I went begging from door to door in the village path, when thy golden chariot appeared in the distance like a gorgeous dream, and I wondered who was this King of all kings. My hopes rose high, and methought my evil days were at an end, and I stood waiting for alms to be given unasked, and wealth scattered on all sides on the dust. The chariot stopped where I stood. Thy glance fell on me, and thou camest down with a smile. I felt that the greatest good fortune of my life had come at last to me, till of a sudden thou didst stretch thy right hand and ask, What hast thou to give to me? Oh, what a kingly jest was it, to open thy palm to a beggar to beg! I was confused and stood for a moment undecided, and then from my wallet I slowly took out the least little grain of a corn and gave it to thee. But what was my surprise when at the day's end I emptied my bag on the floor to find a least little grain of gold shining among the poor heap. I bitterly wept and wished that I had the heart to give thee my own. This poem made me cry. This may not be a book for you to read in your teens or in your 20s, but you must read this book in your 30s and 40s. Don't miss it. This book is a treasure for the soul.
Good morning, I'm Uttara Bijay from class 11A. Today I'm here to give a review on the book The Alchemist, written by Paulo Coelho. It's an international bestseller which has been translated to over 70 languages. Though it's relatively short with only about 160 pages, it's an exceptionally inspirational masterpiece. The book follows the journey of a shepherd boy named Santiago who lives his peaceful life with his sheep in pursuit of a treasure which is supposed to be buried in Egypt, which he has been dreaming of for days. And the book details his journey as he crosses the Mediterranean and the Sahara Desert to find it. The book is centered on the fact that when you try to pursue your destiny, when you try to find your destiny, the journey to it is as important as the destiny itself. And by the end of the book, not only does he find the treasure he was looking for, he finds various other kinds of treasures like the love of his life, the various kind of wisdom and experience he gained, and the different kinds of people he met, from the mysterious king of Salem to a dainty Egyptian thief. And the story is told in a very beautiful manner, and the language is very simple and lucid to understand, yet poetic. So the plot is quite utopian. It is filled with philosophies and quotes on every chapter, and many famous quotes have been taken from this book, like if you really want something, the whole universe conspires in helping you achieve it. And my favorite one being that the only thing that makes your dreams impossible to achieve is the fear of failure, and many more. Though I personally am not a fan of philosophical self-help books, I really love this book. It's really inspirational and it bursts with optimism. And I recommend it to every reader out there. Thank you.
Good morning to all. Hi, I am Steve Davis and I am here to present my thoughts on this book, The Subtle Knife of the series His Dark Materials, written by the author Philip Pullman. This book is about a boy and a girl, the boy being William Parry and the girl being Lyra Barack. They are both from different worlds. They both meet each other on a single world, and then where Lyra is searching for the so-called dust, which of course the philosophers of her world call it, and William was hiding from men because he has recently killed a person. Accidentally, of course. So that is the general plot. And the dust turned out to be what William's world, that is our world, called dark matter. And according to the story, it is supposed to be particles of conscience or what you call angels. It's supposed to clutter around a child when the child attains puberty, that is, when the child gets rid of his or her innocence. That's the general theme of the story. Of course, in this particular book, Will gets a subtle knife which is said to cut anything, practically anything. One side of it cuts anything, and the second side, which is sharper, cuts windows in the air to multiple worlds. So that's what this book is about. And that knife can cut anything, that knife can cut anything from stone, rocks, everything, and even angels. So that's the general theme of the story, and the rest is for the reader to find out. So the reason why I like this book is because I like fiction and I like fantasy and I like magic and anything that is pretty fun. That's all I have to say about this book. Thank you.
Greetings to one and all. I am Devdutt Jain of class 10th and I am here to express my views on the book The Kite Runner. The Kite Runner, an exceptionally emotional, fast-paced and hardly ever dull book, was written by the Afghan-American author Khalid Hosseini. The book was published on 23rd of May of 2003 by the Bloomsbury Publishings, London. Coming to the plot of the novel, the story revolves around a young boy named Amir, who lives in the Wazir Khan district of Kabul. He has a really strong and immense relationship with Hassan, who is the son of one of his servants. The protagonist is really keen on winning a local kite tournament, as he sees this as one of his only chance on establishing a closer rapport with his father. As the tournament progresses, a really distressing event takes place, which changes the relationship between Amir and Hassan. The story is set against a really strong background, which is the fall of monarch in Afghanistan and the Soviet invasion. Due to the invasion, Amir and his father are forced to flee from Afghanistan to America. The continuation of the story follows Amir as a man seeking redemption, correcting all the wrongs he has done all those years ago as a boy. A really gripping story. It's no doubt that it is one of my favorite books that I have read, and I really recommend the book to all those readers who believe in the power and impact of families and relations. Thank you.
Good evening, my name is Darshana Jairaj. Today I am going to do a book review on my favorite book, The Adventures of Tom Sawyer. It is a classic novel by Mark Twain. It is about a young boy growing up along the Mississippi River. He is an orphan and lives with his aunt Polly, a very strict woman who constantly worries about him. Tom is a very sly and crafty person, tricking most of the people of his village to paint his fence for him. Later in the story, as Tom and Huck were playing in a graveyard with a dead cat, they overhear some men had witnessed a murder by Injun Joe, an evil person set on revenge. Later in the story, Tom and his friends were pretending to be pirates in a nearby island, living out in the woods. But as they were gone for too long, the villagers assumed that they had drowned in the river. Later, Tom and Herb come across a haunted house, which is really Injun Joe's hiding place. They overhear that he has hidden a treasure in a secret location and try to follow him, but instead Huck stops a murder of a widow. Later, Tom takes Becky out to a nearby cave, but they get lost in there. Things went to look bad as they have run out of food, but Tom eventually finds a way out and saves Becky. Tom then tells Huck that the treasure is hidden inside the cave. They both get it and they instantly became wealthy. However, Huck struggles with the rich lifestyle while Tom enjoys the money but ends up being a classy thief. There's a lot to talk about this story, but the thing that really attracts my mind is the idea that money won't always bring us happiness. In the story, both the characters were gifted with lots of money, but they exactly didn't know what to do with it. This suggests that we don't always need money to be happy. We often hear elders saying that only if I had money, I would have been happy. But that's not completely true. Happiness is an expression. It can be felt by doing what we like or what we wish. The story also reminds people about how their childhood was, as it is beautifully described in it. I also suggest everyone to read this book. Thank you.